Rockstar is making background changes to Red Dead Redemption 2 and the Red Dead Online framework, and today on the show we will be going over all of the known intel of what exactly is happening right now. It's been a pretty wild week in the Rockstar Games space overall. We had the official announcement that a new GTA is in development, we have more GTA expanded and enhanced news, and Red Dead Online has even come up in conversation a couple of times. One from investors inquiring about RDR2 spending during Take-Two's recent financial quarter, to the game selling over 43 million units to date, making it into the top 10 of units sold for all time of games, and record player counts for Red Dead Online after several months of double-digit player-based declines, to now the newest intel we have on more new Red Dead Online updates that are in development as we speak. But it's not necessarily what you may think here. While this doesn't outright confirm anything specifically related to the next major Red Dead Online expansion, we still have quite a bit of time for a new content update and DLC with whatever that will bring, but it appears as though Rockstar does have long-term plans for Red Dead Online, and this evidence is proof of that. So let's get into all the news today because there's a lot. If you enjoyed this video at any point, or if you just find it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it, and if you want to stay up to date and in the loop with everything Red Dead Redemption 2 and Red Dead Online, consider hitting that subscribe button with your bell notifications turned on. Our first bit of evidence and news is coming from none other than Rockstar enthusiast TezFun2. On his Twitter account, he said the following: Red Dead Online Standalone received an update on Steam database with new unused depots, same as the originals from Red Dead Redemption 2, but exclusive to the standalone version. Rockstar is aiming to separate RDR Standalone from RDR2, thus reducing the size. This move would likely be timed with GTA Online Standalone release. Now, attached to his statement, he included a screenshot of Red Dead Online's changes that were published through Steam database, which tracks, at least for games on Steam, changes made to the background of games, whether it's bug fixes, new content, DLCs, etc. We've discussed Steam database several times in the past, and in the past almost 6 months, half a year, there have been no changes made to the DLC depot for Red Dead Redemption 2 and RDO, but that may soon be changing, and as you can see from SteamDB itself, we can observe the 5 new Red Dead Online specific depots that were added. We have the Red Dead Online base depot, the redistribution depot, the update depot, packs depot, and an audio depot. Ben, or as you may know him by the name of Videotech, has some interesting things to point out about Rockstar making these specific changes, especially now when it's so out of the blue. He said the following: Red Dead Online is seeing some unusual activity movement on Steam database with the standalone edition after 5 months of silence. The standalone edition has just added a few unused installation exclusive structures depots. Rockstar could be trying to minimize the installation size for the standalone edition by stripping out the story mode and possibly separating it as a DLC to download when a consumer buys it. Either way, the game isn't dead, there's work going on behind the scenes right now. And that's the big takeaway out of everything today. We still have more news to discuss, but to say that Rockstar have completely abandoned the game is simply not true. Especially in this past week, we've received more evidence that would suggest Rockstar will continue to support this game for years to come, versus just dropping the game and leaving it behind. So, back to these changes. While it is good news that Rockstar is separating Red Dead Online from Red Dead Redemption 2 so they can reduce download sizes for new or returning players, and also potentially give themselves an easier time implementing new updates while also not worrying about totally breaking the story mode like they usually do when new Red Dead Online DLC releases, this change is certainly coming very late. This should have been here from day one, and that was my initial reaction to the news that Rockstar ever wanted to produce a standalone version to Red Dead Online. When the news broke at the end of 2020, I thought for sure what's happening now is their plan, and that's what their plan was. Divide Red Dead Redemption 2 and RDO and have them be separate downloads essentially. The main menu would be shared, and if you own both of them, you could play both, but for someone who never plans to play story or already played it and doesn't want to have it installed at the current moment, the game doesn't have to be its 125 plus gigabyte size. It could be something like maybe 40 or 50 or whatever the amount is, and it seems like that is what they're doing now, so good on them. TezFun2 also shared some extra intel of how this is going to play out in the future, what this means for actual Red Dead Online DLC content updates, which a lot of people are interested in, and maybe even when those could potentially be releasing here for us to enjoy. He says, well, there's at least something going on with Red Dead Online Standalone. It's definitely linked somehow with GTA Online Standalone. Rockstar probably already split GTA O Standalone from GTA 5 and decided to do the same with RDO. Rockstar is supposedly planning to separate the standalone version from the main game because, as it stands right now, RDR2 standalone is technically Red Dead Redemption 2, but with limited access. Such a move would of course reduce the size of the standalone version like we've talked about, and it's worth noting the Blood Money update introduced some interesting changes as well. It split the update.rpf file into 4 parts, thus terminating the need to download the whole file again if Rockstar were to make some changes. In other words, you don't have to download 2 to 4 gigabyte updates worth each time a new patch goes live for some slight changes. And that's an interesting point right here as well. I never really talked about it in a video because it was such a small thing that I noticed, and I only really mentioned it on my Twitch live streams when it came up in conversation, but there was a point in time not too long ago when Red Dead Online received a small patch because of a background update. My Rockstar Games launcher on PC would need to install, for me, a 200 megabyte update for some small online changes, like for example what happened a couple times last year when I covered those mini updates in videos, and on console, on PS4 and Xbox, you would have to download 2 to 4 gigabyte updates. It wouldn't be 2 to 4 gigabyte updates worth of actual fixes, but you would have to download this whole folder of files with only 200 megabytes worth of changes. But since then, no one on Xbox, PlayStation, or PC have needed to download small little patches for what can now be genuine background updates for Red Dead Online. Whenever there are smaller changes or fixes that need to be made to Red Dead but won't require a download, Rockstar can now just issue a server-side patch, sort of like how the weekly or monthly tunables operate that change currently active discounts, bonuses, etc. So that's the news. I would love to get your thoughts on all this, everyone. New standalone changes to Red Dead Online, and it looks to be that Rockstar is trying to separate Red Dead Online entirely from its RDR2 story mode counterpart, and while not currently confirmed at this moment, it could potentially mean big changes for future content updates. Rockstar could completely focus on Red Dead Online without ever worrying about breaking story mode every time. Maybe we could even receive larger and better updates because they aren't hindered by older builds of the story mode too. And despite the doubt from most players that things will ever really improve for the game, this could be just what we need to actually get some big changes and overhauls to the game and receive new content, perhaps that's fundamentally different than content that we've been getting recently. But I will leave that for you to discuss in the comment section below, and we can have another conversation about that. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. We're out of time for today, and we're going to be wrapping things up right here. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video today, and if you did, hopefully I earned your like on it. And of course, if you are new to my channel and you want to stay up to date with the best Red Dead Online and Rockstar Games content, consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out on a single thing we post here on the channel. We consistently talk about updates, news, information, tips, tricks, and even leaks, and we'll keep you guys updated here on the channel daily, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you want to follow me over on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected with me outside of YouTube, and you're more than welcome to ask many questions on those platforms. You can follow me at HazardousHDTV, and all of my social media links can be found in the description down below. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching, everyone. I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I will see you guys in the next Red Dead Online video. Adios, amigos.